Good Friday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversations Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Well, we made it to the end of another week, but of course you have your news headlines coming up on this Friday. We have the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you've been part of my conversation with John Wilson, the founder of the Razzy Awards. While many people will be celebrating the best movies and performances on Sunday, the Razzies will celebrate the worst on Saturday. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Friday headlines. In international news, Biden promises new Ukraine aid, warns Russia on chemical weapons. President Joe Biden and Western allies pledged new sanctions and humanitarian aid on Thursday in response to Vladimir Putin's assault on Ukraine, but their offers fell short of the more robust military assistance that President Zelensky pleaded for in a pair of live video appearances. The leaders spent Thursday crafting their next steps to counter Russia's month-long invasion and huddling over how they might respond should Putin deploy chemical, biological, or even a nuclear weapon. They met in a trio of emergency summits that had them shuttling across Brussels for back-to-back-to-back meetings of NATO, the group of 7 industrialized nations, and the 27-member European Council. Biden, in an early evening news conference after meeting with NATO and G7 leaders, warned that a chemical attack by Russia would trigger a response in kind. You're asking whether NATO would cross. We'd make that decision at the time, Biden said. However, a White House official said later that did not imply any shift in the U.S. position against direct military action in Ukraine. Biden and NATO allies had previously stressed that the U.S. and NATO would not put troops on the ground in Ukraine. The official was not authorized to comment publicly by name and spoke on condition of anonymity. Zelensky, while thankful for their help, made clear to the Western allies he needed far more than they currently were willing to give. 1% of all your planes, 1% of all of your tanks, Zelensky asked members of the NATO alliance. We can't just buy those. When we will all have this, it will give us, just like you, 100% security. Biden, who was attending all 3 summits, said more aid was on its way, but Western leaders also suggested they were treading carefully so as to not further escalate the conflict beyond the borders of Ukraine. NATO has made a choice to support Ukraine in this war without going to war with Russia, said the French president. Therefore, we have decided to intensify our ongoing work to prevent any escalation and to get organized in case there is an escalation. Billions of dollars of military hardware has already been provided. A U.S. official who requested anonymity to discuss internal deliberations said Western nations were discussing the possibility of providing anti-ship weapons amid concerns that Russia will launch amphibious assaults along the Black Sea coast. In a related story, Ukraine says Moscow is forcibly taking civilians to Russia. Ukraine accused Moscow on Thursday of forcibly taking hundreds of thousands of civilians from shattered Ukrainian cities to Russia, where some may be used as hostages to pressure Kyiv to give up. One of Ukraine's spokespeople said 402,000 people, including 84,000 children, have been taken against their will. The Kremlin gave nearly identical numbers for those who have been relocated, but it said they wanted to go to Russia. Ukraine's rebel-controlled eastern regions are predominantly Russian-speaking, and many people there have supported close ties to Moscow. In national news, the Senate committee wraps up hearings on Jackson's nomination. Legal experts praised Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson in her final day of Senate hearings on Thursday, with a top lawyers group saying its review found she had a sterling reputation, exceptional competence, and is well qualified to sit on the Supreme Court. The testimony from the American Bar Association and other experts came after 2 days of questioning from members of the Senate Judiciary Committee and wrapped up about 30 hours of hearings on Jackson's nomination. Republicans asked Jackson about her record as a federal judge, including her sentencing of criminal defendants, as she seeks to become the first black woman on the nation's highest court. Outstanding, excellent, superior, superb, testified Ann Claire Williams, chair of the American Bar Association committee that makes recommendations on federal judges. Those are the comments from virtually everyone we interviewed. Williams said the group spoke to more than 250 judges and lawyers about Jackson. The question we kept asking ourselves, how does one human being do so much so extraordinarily well? In business news, U.S. stocks rise amid cautious trading on world markets. Stocks turned broadly higher on Wall Street Thursday, regaining some of the ground they lost a day earlier though the major indexes remain mixed for the week after several days of seesaw trading. And finally, in entertainment news, Beyoncé and Billie Eilish to sing nominated songs at Oscars. Beyoncé, Billie Eilish, and other nominees for Best Original Song will perform at Sunday's Oscars, the show producers announced this week. Beyoncé will perform her nominated song Be Alive from King Richard, and Eilish and her brother and co-writer will perform No Time to Die from the James Bond film of the same name. Reba McEntire will sing writer Diane Warren's Somehow You Do from the film 4 Good Days. Van Morrison, who wrote and sings the nominated song Down to Joy from Belfast, will not be able to make the show because of his touring schedule. The song will not be performed. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Mary Ellen, take it away.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Sit with your sadness. I know the last thing anyone wants to hear when going through a period of great sadness is, you will learn something from this. Or, look at the bright side. In the midst of a tremendously painful situation, you really don't care about the bright side, because the overwhelming feeling of pain you are feeling is too exhausting to even begin an examination of what is happening. You feel disappointed, angry, fearful, picked on by life, and let down by God. Sitting with sadness takes the courage to believe you can bear the pain and the faith to know you will come out on the other side. Courage and faith will allow you permission to grieve and walk through your sadness. After you sit with your sadness and experience it, understand the powerful teaching tool sadness has to offer. Now you can choose to surrender and accept the change you are going through. Today, feel your own sadness while you have compassion for others experiencing the same thing. And remember, enjoy your day.
We have part of my conversation coming up with John Wilson, the founder of the Razzy Awards at today's Entertainment Spotlight. Stay with us. You're listening to Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. While the Oscars will be recognizing the best movie and performances this weekend, the Razzies will be celebrating the worst. The founder of the Razzies, John Wilson, joined me on Conversations Live to talk about how it all began. John, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
You are very welcome. Oh, wait a minute. Very welcome. Just for your listeners who aren't familiar with us, and we've been around 42 years, so a lot of people are, this is the opposite of all the other award shows. They're up there, backslapping and butt kissing and saying how wonderful they are, and we're down below with a pea shooter going. These are the worst achievements in film. It is a voted award. We have about 1,150 or so members throughout all 49 United States and about 25 foreign countries. We vote online. We have a forum on our website. We pay attention to box office, which these days, not every movie plays in a theater. We pay attention to Rotten Tomatoes. We poll our members and see what they think ought to be up for the award. And we have a whole long list. We've got 10 categories.
And John, it was interesting for me when I was prepping for this segment to see how this all began. Could you have imagined that your idea of having a bad experience in watching two films, and then, of course, realizing that you weren't the only one who thought that they were bad films, could you have imagined that now you will be celebrating the 42nd annual event and people looking forward to these the way they do?
It is supposed to be amusing. I think everyone but the winners find it funny. It actually, yes, it was a double feature. I only paid 99 cents 40-some years ago to see Olivia Newton-John in Xanadu and the Village People in Can't Stop the Music, which were both disco musicals.
Cyrus Webb, Conversation Daily News. We thank you all for tuning into this edition of Conversation Daily News. We're back to guys on Monday with more news, Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversation Daily News today. Let's make today amazing. Take care.